Live from the City of Angels here on Sunday night. You are watching MMT Sunday Evening Spectacular as we have a huge show planned. Coming up tonight, we're going to talk about Sydney Sweeney being attacked by that producer, and did it actually help her? Also, Deadpool and Wolverine, new trailer coming out. We'll discuss that film now 96 days away. James Gray has something to say about theatrical. Smart statement. We'll listen to that. And Samuel L. Jackson on Quentin Tarantino. As you know, Tarantino said no movie critic. We'll see what's next, but it's interesting to see what it's like to work with Quentin. I think he's one of the most talented, obviously, directors and writers ever in the space. Tonight, though, we start with, the horror. How many horror films have we had over the past 12 plus months? We've been inundated with horror films. And the reason I made this tonight's big topic is you look at Abigail. Film just opened this weekend and did the worst possible number that anyone expected. 10.2 million. I don't care what anyone tells you. This is incredibly underwhelming. And it points to exactly what we're discussing here this evening. There have been too many horror films and too much product in the marketplace. And as such, they're starting to suffer. And we're seeing it happen right now with Abigail. And there's more to come in the next several months. So watch out. Here we go. 2023. Let's go over some of the films that were big last year in the horror space. Number one film last year in the horror space, Five Nights at Freddy's with $137 million. This is domestic cash. Number two, Scream 6, same directorial duo that did Abigail. Obviously, this film is not anywhere near $108 million. Megan, that breakout hit from early in 2023, ended up with $95 million stateside alone. The Nun 2 did well at the end of summer with $86 million. Insidious, The Red Door, $82 million. Evil Dead Rise, $67. Exorcist Believer actually got to $65. I still think it's a good film. I really like Believer, and those of you who don't help me here, wrong. Dead wrong. All of you. Saw X, $53 million. Talk to Me at 48. That's a huge hit for A24, right? And you get that kind of money. It's why we're getting a prequel and a sequel. I believe they're making two, if I'm not mistaken on that. Also, The Boogeyman with $43 million. That was midsummer. Now we go to 2024, and we've already had so many in the marketplace. The number one is surprisingly Imaginary. Oh my God. What a weird film. That film was terrible up until about the halfway point. And what? I look like that Defoe gif or GIF. I don't care, whatever it's called, where he's like, that was me in Imaginary. First Omen, didn't see it, only 17 million. See, here's what we're talking about right here. This is where we are tonight. Immaculate, only 15 million. We'll talk about Sweeney coming up. That thing with the producer was wild. It only helped Sydney Sweeney out, but we'll discuss that at length coming up. Abigail, only 10 million. And then you go further down and get small films like Sting and Stop Motion and Winnie the Pooh Part 2. Thank God that thing did not do well. I never saw it. The first one was so terrible. But here's the issue, right? The issue is this, that when you have so much of one thing in the marketplace, eventually it wears out. The novelty of it, the excitement of it. So what the studios have to do now, even though I am fully aware that horror is an extremely profitable genre. That is why we get these films. You look at an Imaginary, you had a bunch of nobodies. I've never seen anybody in that film before, except for, I think, is it Betty Buckley who's in it late? But that's right. You're talking about nothing for a paycheck for these actors. These movies are cheap to make, especially Blumhouse cranks them out. I mean, first of all, can I just sidestep for just 1 second and hammer how atrocious Five Nights at Freddy's, what an embarrassment to IP. I think it might be the all-time worst IP adaptation of any original source material, video game, book, anything in the history of mankind. Five Nights at Freddy and that shit drama they attached to it, it's embarrassing. Everyone at Blumhouse who made that film should be fired. The only people who saved that film was the animatronics division that used to be, I believe, with Henson, right? They saved it. If not for that, that film would be unwatchable. But when you look at this genre, I will always take an opportunity to hammer Five Nights at Freddy one more time. I still will never forget sitting in that early screening with an audience full of Five Nights at Freddy's freaks. And they were like excited. I'm like, what is, this is one of these things I almost got up in the middle of the movie and go, what the fuck is wrong with you people? This is terrible. Like, your excitement level does not match what I'm watching on the screen, other than, yeah, there's the characters. But back to oversaturation of this horror market. If you're going to keep plowing these things in, and we still have to come here very soon, we've got that Strangers remake, which looks, my God, how boring does that look? We've already seen The Strangers. So if you're going to give me essentially the same film with another, this couple looks really bland. Do they not? Have you seen the trailer? The couple in that, I'm like, could you found two more boring people to put in a movie? And it gets back to what we talked about. These movies are cheap, and they'll just get nobodies and throw them on the screen because you're going to go see The Strangers, if you're interested, whether it's a star or it's just some random nobody that you've never seen before. And you look at Strangers, and before that we have, what's the next one up? It's literally, I've lost track. There's so many of these things that you're just becoming desensitized to it, and none of them are great. You go back to this year, remember Night Swim? Oh my God, what a boring film. You go and you look at Imaginary, same thing. At least it was weird at the end, and they try to do something bizarre. And you look at Immaculate's not a great film, my God, right? I mean, in fact, I hate that film too. Not, well, which one would I rather watch again? I'd watch Five Nights at Freddy's because at least I can watch the animatronics. So there's that. But you look at these things and they're just cranking them out. There's too much, and there's not enough great things like a Smile, right? I'd even go back, as much as I hammered Barbarian. Barbarian's way better than any of the films I just mentioned this year. I think the best horror film this year is Late Night with the Devil. Not a scary movie, right? But another film that is in that genre that we piled in here in 2024, and more to come. And it's going to be just a breaking point soon. And Abigail, tonight, we are talking about the horror genre in trouble. And one of my good friends, Scott Menzel, got dragged on Twitter by all the losers on film Twitter that he was saying when he said, oh, we have too many horror films, which he said before Abigail. And then they were like, oh, how dare you say that we can't have any movies directed by women? And then we had nerd-ass Strange Harbors, the biggest loser in the entire film Twitter space. And that is an accomplishment, Harbors. I mean, that is literally, you have achieved something in life that few rarely, if ever, will see. The ability to stand out in the sea of film Twitter losers and be the king of the dweebs, which you are, Strange Harbors. What a fucking loser you are. But welcome to the channel if you've never been here. But you look at what Menzel said, he was right. And he got dragged because, oh, how dare you say that opportunity shouldn't be given? Shut up. That's how you respond. And Menzel deleted the tweet. He went back today with a long tweet I might get into later, but just trying to explain himself. Let me explain something to you guys. I don't explain myself. Menzel, you don't owe these people anything. Do not give them an inch. They don't deserve it. They do not pay my bills. They don't pay your bills. Don't worry about what they fucking think. I certainly don't. I don't operate my day-to-day, hour-to-hour, ever thinking about the dweebs of film Twitter, nor will I ever. And that's how you exist. That's how we do shows like this. We don't give a shit about what others have to say. All right, here we go. Comments on this. And hey, listen, welcome to the channel right now. That is what we do. I'm not going to hold back. I hope it gets cut out. I hope it gets shown to a Strange Harbors. And by the way, one more time, I've given this guy way too much publicity. Change your profile picture. Are you even a human being? Are you AI? The way you write, I'm guessing you're not even a real person, but at least show us who you are. I have a feeling it's very unremarkable. If I were to meet you in person, I'm like, well, this explains why you have a random stock photo for yourself, because you are so unremarkable, and your reviews are even more so. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue to bury, and I mean bury, Strange Harbors 24/7, 365. So, boy, bring it. Anytime you're in LA, bring it. I'm ready. And trust me, I will unleash fury on you. You have no idea, bro. So don't even step into the space. You'll get your ass whacked. Aaliyah, here we go. Abigail underperforming worldwide might indicate that Melissa Barrera's popularity is an internet bubble and normies don't care. The Henry Cavill effect. Listen, I think everybody in this space that you're talking about in an actor these days outside of a Sydney Sweeney is really just propped up by Instagram followers, maybe followers on Twitter, and it's kind of just this smoke and mirrors thing. I know when producers go in and they get these things ready, the films, they're trying to figure out who to cast. They do a lot of what's the social media reach. We have seen so many times where the social media reach of some of these people doesn't equate to tickets, right? So often. And I know we talk about Melissa Barrera, this or that, but at the end of the day, as hot as she is, and trust me, smoking hot, she still is not moving the needle. So few people, aside from Strange Harbors, move the needle as much as they think they do. So when you look at a Melissa Barrera, it's really not a surprise. The film did not really do anything because of her involvement. We get too excited about that. I think Sweeney's an it girl, no question. And you look at what she's had success. Immaculate does not even make $15 million without her. That film's probably at $3 million. Maybe less. I mean, it's a horror film, so we're at least in for $3 million. But the rest of it is going to go down. And because we've seen so many of these, look at The First Omen. Didn't have a Sydney Sweeney, didn't do nearly as well. I think it actually made more money, but as a horror film, that's not a great result. For Neon at $15 million with an Immaculate, that's the Sweeney effect right there. I can't wait for Smile 2. Did you hear about what they're going to do with that? Apparently, it's like a Taylor Swift kind of concert, and the singer has the smile attached to her, and then the whole audience is going to get smiled. And then we're going to have an outbreak of everybody killing themselves. This film, you talk about, right? Whenever we talk about the first film, we're talking about small scope, and then we're going to open it up, right? We'll go macro on number 2. We see it so often. Sounds like what they're doing. And kudos to Paramount for allowing Parker Finn to do that. I mean, you look at a Smile, and I think that's the thing that's missing in some of these films that I just mentioned. Imaginary, Night Swim. Blumhouse does not have quality directors working for them. They have hack directors who know how to assemble a film. You watch a Smile and you're seeing a true director impart his singular vision on a film. I go back to that title sequence, right? That I'm like, what the? Like that right there is better than anything that Blumhouse maybe has ever made, right? I think Blumhouse might be the most overrated entity in all of Hollywood. You talk about whatever you want to pick, any actor, any director, any studio, you look at Blumhouse and their quality over the years, you're going to find that a lot of their shit is not great. I mean, you go back to An Invisible Man, you talk about one of the most overrated films, maybe of all time again. Yes, hyperbolic tonight, but it's true. I remember going to Invisible Man and I was like, I'd heard it was so great. And I saw it early down at ArcLight and I was like, what? This is, the scene where they're at the dinner and they do the comic bit. And then all of a sudden the friend gets slashed and there's no cameras in the room to see that the knife moved by itself. But the whole thing, the whole writing, I mean, I don't know if Blumhouse hires people they know, because I'm telling you, the talent level's not there. The directors are hacks. The writing is just not tremendous at any level. And go back to Five Nights at Freddy's, you see it, Night Swim, all of this stuff. They try to tack these heavy dramas of loss and grief onto a film that should be fun. Like Five Nights at Freddy's has no business being a film where Josh Hutcherson looks like he's going to commit suicide every frame of the movie. And even when he finds the first time that he realizes that the Freddy characters are alive, he just stands there and goes, I'm telling you, go back and watch. It's like this. He doesn't even go like, what? Like, that's like the fun part. Go back and watch Willy's Wonderland. What a film, because of Nicolas Cage and the goofiness of that film. destroys. Willy's Wonderland absolutely annihilates. It nukes Five Nights at Freddy's. And that's the thing, is that how does Blumhouse get away with this? I mean, the only film that I really like from them is Exorcist Believer, which is the craziest thing. If you would have said tonight, way back after watching Halloween Ends, that I would tell you that Exorcist Believer is arguably a great horror film, or very close to it. What? I would never. You'd say Weber lost his mind, which of course a lot of you probably say anyhow, so it is what it is. Horror needs a Blair Witch. They're going to remake it, right? So we'll get that. That's what we do. We just remake and retread everything. We need new ideas. At least, listen, Smile is very Hereditary at times. It's also very The Ring. It's got a lot of things going on, right? Barbarian, I told you guys about Barbarian. Barbarian is Don't Breathe. I mean, it's literally ripped from Don't Breathe. We've got a dude in a basement that's impregnating women. That's the same fucking thing. It's in Detroit. Like, I cannot believe that someone didn't sue Barbarian. I mean, if I was the writer of Don't Breathe, I would have sued Barbarian, everybody, because this is a rip. I mean, you took our idea and molded slapped some different things on it, moved some pieces around. But guys, it's the same general at its core, right? A serial killer living in the basement, inseminating women, right? It's disgusting. And yet we have two movies like that. Not one, but two. All right, couple more comments. Whatever. Byron, I think that's it. Byron's out. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, Byron's gone from the channel. It's been a fun time with you, Byron, but it's not just time out. Byron is banned. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Byron. As much fun as he was, he's gone. And we're never going to see Byron again. Thank you, Byron. It's always a pleasure doing business with you. Here's the deal. I will block anybody, not who disagrees with, but is going to come into my space and get personal. I went personal after my boy Strange Harbors because of what he said. I took a picture in a movie. That's a false. You lied, dude. I don't lie. Okay, I'm calling you a dweeb. That's reality. So, I'm going to block you if you come into my space and you say disparaging things. You're going to get DEFCON 4 unleashed on you. I'm not the guy. Do you not see me? Do you not see what I do? I don't talk shit. I'm not the guy who looks like Jabba the Hutt in front of a microphone. I'm the guy who goes to the gym and busts his ass and can do 42-inch box jumps. That's not what you're used to, and that's why you don't come into my world and talk shit. I'm different. I do shit. I'm not somebody who talks. I'm a doer, and as such, you don't know what to do with that. Here's what you do with it. You learn to accept it, and you learn to appreciate effort. That's what we're doing here. And if you're going to come in and try to belittle me and go after me on some random bullshit like Byron, go work on yourself. Okay, dude? Seriously, spend time at the gym like I do, then come back and maybe you'll realize that what we're talking about is movies. We're talking about movies. Okay? All right, let's continue. This show, I'll tell you, sometimes I'm just like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what's going to happen. We turn the camera on and we just go. That's what happens. And here's the thing. I'm not going to be like the producer who called Sydney Sweeney untalented. She called her ugly, which is ridiculous, okay? And then said, anyone but you is unwatchable. First of all, can I say this? She was 1,000% correct about that film being unwatchable. You look at a Carol Baum and who is this person that attacked Sydney Sweeney? Well, go to the article. I want to tell you who she is first. She's a producer. She produced a ton of stuff going to the 90s. You look at Father of the Bride 1 and 2, a bunch of films there in the 90s, Gross Anatomy, late 80s. Let's see what else. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Was that the movie? There was a movie, right? There was the movie, then there was the series. So she's been around. She did a whole bunch of things. She still produces some stuff today. But what she had to say was kind of crazy. I mean, let's just read what Carol Baum had to say. I don't know if we have the audio. I don't think there's audio of it. There might be, but I want to at least just get the stuff out there, and then we will decide what Carol Baum was right about. She was right about one thing for sure, that anyone but you is bad. I mean, it is unfunny. It is cringy, which many would argue this show is, and that's fine. I'm not going to debate that at all. But I'm also not a movie that was produced for, I don't know what the money on this was. Was it 15 million, 20? I didn't even remember. Sydney Sweeney's not pretty and can't act. Top Hollywood producer Carol Baum says. I don't think she's a top Hollywood producer, not anymore. I mean, if it was 1997, but she's been around, okay? So here's what she said. She said, she also did Dead Ringers. She's not pretty. She can't act. She said she was doing a Q&A with, I think, Janet Maslin, who follows me on Twitter. So I can direct message. I'd love to have Janet Maslin on. She's old. She's old school. She's, you talk about the pillars of film criticism. You talk about a Janet Maslin. You talk about a Siskel and Ebert, obviously. You talk about a Rex Reed. You talk about a Leonard Maltin. We're talking about the big guns here. But as she continues here, she called Anyone But You unwatchable. And she said, I just wanted to know who she is and what everyone's talking about her. And she said, she has a class apparently. Explain this girl to me. She's not pretty. She can't act. Why is she so hot? Not hot like hot looking because she says she's ugly. She says, why is she so big? And nobody had an answer. I would have, see, here's the thing. If I'm in her class, I would have raised my hand and I would have said, I know the answer. Okay, first of all, Sydney Sweeney is the classic all-American looking girl, right? I don't care what they're going to try to sell you on what is the paradigm of beauty now, and there's no such thing. Bull and shit to that. The reality is that human beings are drawn to beauty. I don't care what they try to tell you. I don't care how many overweight people they stuff into tights in Nike ads. At the end of the day, people are more drawn to physically fit, attractive, and we're talking about a blue-eyed blonde. I believe she's blue-eyed. I think that's right. Either way, it doesn't matter. We've seen over the years, I've said it how many times now? We got Marilyn Monroe going back. You go back and you look at a Heather Locklear, a Pam Anderson. I was talking, who else were we talking in there? TJ Hooker, her. That was Heather Locklear, right? You look at all of these actresses that have come out through the years, blonde, petite, and then you have, of course, now Sydney Sweeney. What I think is interesting, what is pissing a lot of people off, and it's the same reason film Twitter gets pissed off at me, a lot of people, is that they're so used to being told that it's okay to look slovenly and to be 300 pounds overweight. It's okay. No one's saying it's wrong. But what I'm going to tell you is that the enduring standard of beauty is something we can't debate. At the end of the day, yes, there are things that make certain people more attractive and this and that. It's not all about having a six-pack. I'm not saying that. But what I am going to tell you is that the human eye is naturally going to turn to something that's attractive to you. Now, granted, that might be slightly different, but I think there's a reason why Sydney Sweeney has become so popular, because in most dudes' estimations, she's cute. She's pretty. She obviously has a nice figure. Well, I'm not even going to go there. She's going to say it for us in a minute. But you see, so I don't know what Baum's talking about when she's talking about ugly. Now, as far as the acting, there's no question that I don't think she's great. I think that Sydney Sweeney has to, we talked about this, she's an in-the-box actress. She has to be put into a role that she's allowed to do her kind of basic thing. I thought that when you look at, I always forget the name of the HBO Max movie, Redacted, whatever the hell it's called. She's good in that, but she's playing her. It's the first time I ever saw Sydney Sweeney. She's good, but she's playing her. She's very low-key, right? Just like Anyone But You. She's not high energy. She's not particularly funny. She's just kind of flat. There's no question. I think everyone knows that. That's not flat. Flat acting. Cancel Weber. Oh, like I care. Like I'm gonna worry about it. Because the difference between me and Carol Baum is if I say something, I'm not gonna crawl into, like Baum just did, I never meant to say that. If you didn't mean to say it, don't say it. Okay? The problem is people open up their mouth and say something they truly believe. She believes this. She believes everything she said. She all of a sudden is now dealing with the ramifications of people like, oh, you're so mean. Sorry, I'm mean. I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. It's not my aim in life is not to be nice. My aim is to be unfiltered, authentic, raw. That's what this is. I've never held back anything on this microphone, and it's not going to start tonight. So when you look at Carol Baum all of a sudden retracting what she had to say about Sydney Sweeney, listen, you could say, here's what I would say. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong. I certainly have said things on here that I'd say, oh, maybe I'll walk it back a little bit. I was a little too hard, but I would never say, like, Greg said, we just hammered Strange Harbors, loser. If I were all of a sudden to go, well, I was a little too far. But the thing is you don't all of a sudden go, oh, I didn't mean any of that. You'd be like, what? What was that? Was it an act? So I think that's where the thing gets weird, because it's what happened. By the way, here's Sydney Sweeney. But that's what Hollywood makes you do. If you say something that offends people, you're going to have to say, you know, like our Byrons of the world. Oh, it's so sad. I'm so sad. You know what's funny? Did you guys see that tweet from Ricky Gervais where someone was like, you've turned into this and that. I'm not following you anymore. And he replied and goes, oh, I'm so sorry. My whole aim when I came onto Twitter and everything I do in my life is to make sure that we're friends. So if you have me back, I'll delete everything I said. That's the thing. I don't need it. I don't care. In fact, I like my life better without Twitter. I don't need you. I love you guys. Those of you who watch, awesome, appreciate it. But I don't need the affirmation and the pats on the back. I do it enough myself. No, you really just don't need that. You need you. You need to make sure that you are proud of what you're doing. And you don't need to worry about the accolades of others. I think too many people worry about that, and they care about what other people think. And that's what Gervais, that tweet is so great. He's just hammering this person, because do people actually think? I've had people say, oh, I can't believe I used to think you were cute, Eric. You're just a jerk. I'm like, what do you want me to do with that? There's nothing in my life changed on that transaction, and nothing's going to change on my transaction of whatever it is on Twitter. Going back to, do I block people who are whatever? Yeah, but the point is I'm not even going to give them air. It doesn't exist. I'm going to try to explain this for the 150,000th time here on the stream. I do not operate in a space that needs the approval of others. And when you don't care. I don't need anybody to say, oh, the reason I post, if I ever post a shirtless picture or here I am at the gym, the reason I do that is to get people motivated. It's not for me. I already know I can do it. I've proven it to myself over and over and over. If you prove to yourself you can do it, that's all you need. Don't worry about the other people. Certainly not Film Twitter. I don't care for Film Twitter. They mean nothing to me. They'll never mean a thing to me because they don't pay my bills. And when you look at Hollywood, unfortunately, with the Carol Baum, when she goes off on Sweeney, they pay her bills. So they have to worry, she does, that all of a sudden Hollywood's not going to want her to work because you just trashed Sydney Sweeney. At this point, I could never work for any studio based on everything I've said on this show. But let me tell you something. Years ago, I had this kind of far off dream that maybe one day I'd get to work for a studio. I don't want to, because I can promise you this. If I ever went to work at any of the studios here in Hollywood, at any distributor, I couldn't exist because I would say things in meetings that would drag me out. You're out of here. I would say things like DEI. We're not doing that shit. We're going to hire the best person. And they'd be like, you're out of here, Weber. We can't do this. But I'm right. So I'm not going to operate in a space where I'm being told I can't have an opinion about X or Y. I'm right. And even if you don't agree with me, I'm allowed to have my opinion. And Hollywood doesn't allow you to have dissenting opinion. Carol Baum just learned that. Even if she believes that Sydney Sweeney can't act, which I think is where she should have stopped, calling her ugly is where the thing goes, right? I didn't say anything when I called out our boy Strange Harbors. I didn't say anything about his looks. I said, stop using the stock photo. That's all I said. So, and yes, I said, you're 500 pounds overweight, but that wasn't particular to anybody, right? So when you look at Carol Baum and what she did, she just should have stopped that. She can't act. And I think that's fair. I just say she's limited. That's what, listen, you've got to, in Carol Baum's position, you cannot, I can't believe I've said Carol Baum this many times, by the way. this. I've said Carol Baum more than Sydney Sweeney, which is the ultimate MMT thing. We are talking about niche within niche things. Welcome to the channel, those of you who are here. Let's go to a couple comments. Yeah, Bodie got. I know it's sad, isn't it? It's really sad that Byron was banned. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't really want to do it, but yeah, I did. I did want to do it for a long time. Aaliyah, it was really crazy. As you mentioned, Sydney has an audience, hence the crosshairs. Yeah, people just love to attack. It's not just about Sweeney. I mean, people come after me. People come after Menzel. People come after everybody. The only way you're not going to get people to come after you, and I remember, listen, one of my favorite YouTubers of all time, if you want to watch him, it's a sad story. I've kind of talked about it in the past. His name was Greg Plitt, Greg, Greg, Plitt. Go watch some of his videos. That man was a beast. And I take that work ethic into the gym every day. I learn something from him, and what he talks about all the time is when you are successful or when people are paying attention to you, guess what happens? The people who feel bad about themselves start to attack. They come after you because you are doing the things that they wish they could. You're getting attention, even though you're not trying to. You're getting it because you are out there actually living it. You're saying things that are real, that are authentic. These other people don't know what that's like. They are wanting to be liked by the group. They're worried about fitting in. They're worried about not saying the wrong thing. And that's precisely why nobody will ever remember who you are, because you care about that. I don't. And when you don't, you have power over that because you don't even give it oxygen. So if I block someone, it's because they're being rude and I don't even want that energy in my space. If you don't want my energy in your space, don't watch me on Twitter. Like our guy who writes at THR. Literally, every time I say something, he has something to say. If you think that I don't know what I'm doing, why are you watching a stream? Why do you hate watching? What is wrong with you fundamentally up here that you're going to watch somebody and worry about what they're doing? I don't worry about what Strange Harbors is doing. I haven't looked at a tweet from that dude since he said that I took a picture in a room in the movie. I don't worry about these things. And the thing is what Plitt used to say is when you are doing things that makes other people feel bad, then you're going to get attacked. And here's the problem with that. If you have a problem with it, it's you. It's not me. It's you, because you aren't doing it. You aren't going to the gym. If you don't like me posting shirtless pictures, if you don't like me at the gym, if you don't want to see that stuff, that reflects on you. That's not a me thing. That's a you, because you haven't done the work, because you don't care. That's your problem. That's not my problem. So I'm not going to make it my problem. That's you. Work on you, and it won't view that way to you. You won't see it through that prism. You'll see it as, this is amazing. I want to use this as ammunition for me to get my life going, okay? And no one's telling you, by the way, that my life is perfect, for God's sake. No way. This channel was founded almost 2 years ago, right? Has it been a year and a half? Have we been 2 years yet? When I started it, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I said, let's just get on here and start rambling, which is exactly what the show turned out to be. But the point of the show was always to be authentic, unvarnished, and to be fearless and not worry about what other people have to say about opinions, about films, about anything. Whether I'm right or wrong in your estimation, you know damn well one thing that this channel has always done is to just absolutely just give you raw, authentic, real shit. There's no bullshit. We're not doing a Zach Pope show here. Oh, this movie's so great. Isn't it exciting? That's fake. It's inauthentic. And I don't want any part of that. And that's not who I am. You guys know that. So ultimately, what you get here is exactly the same guy you see. Ask Ongro. Ask Britain. Ask Gore. Any of the people. What you get here is what you get in real life. Certainly at a movie, I'm more chill. I just want to watch the movie and get out of there. And I had a guy come up to me after Civil War, and I was in such a bad movie after Civil War, by the way. If you're watching tonight, I apologize. I wasn't mean, but I was just like, hey, and he was like, it was really good. And I go, I hated this movie. And it was just so awkward because you know me, I can't go. I'm not the guy who goes, you're right, it was good. You know me, I'm like, this movie sucks ass. And he's like, Jesus. So that's just the reality. I cannot stop the way that I feel. It is what it is, and I'm not hurting anybody. Me saying that Civil War is utter trash, does not hurt anybody unless you're Alex Garland. And if that's the case, you're not worried anyhow. Your movie is now at $44 million here stateside. You're doing fine. Okay, it's a $50 million film. It'll still lose A24 money at the end of the day because you're looking at 44 now, down 58% after the weekend. So, by the way, this is how you sneak extra information into the room, into the stream, without having to address it later. But Civil War's going to lose them money, right? Let's see. Any more super chats before I go on to the next thing? Let me hold on. I didn't get to the Sydney Sweeney thing here. Hold on. I didn't think I showed you the article that says she showed her boobs or something. Hold on. Let me see. Boom. All right. Sydney Sweeney apologizes for having great, and it says T asterisk asterisk S. Do you guys know what that is? What is great? I have no idea what that is. During bikini-clad Mexican getaway, and shrugs off bitter female producer who said the Anyone But You star is not pretty and can't act. There she is. There's her picture. Sorry for having great tots. She has great tater tots. What I love about Sydney Sweeney is at least she's like she's just, this is what I am. Look, I have great boobs. Sydney Sweeney comments are really showing the old Hollywood that Baum resents is gone. Baum's point was it shouldn't have been a star in her area. It was clumsy and rude. Yeah, I agree. The way that it was phrased was not ideal. If you're going to say it, I would just say, here's the funny thing. If I was on the stage and we were talking about Sydney Sweeney, they say, Weber, what do you think about Sydney Sweeney? And I'd be like, well, I mean, listen, I think she's been very good in the HBO Max movie that I can't ever remember the title of. And then also when she's kind of, doing what she does. I've never seen Euphoria. I imagine she's good at being Sydney Sweeney. She's an inside the box actress. You're not going to ask her to go outside and do something weird. You're going to need her to stay contained. You're going to need to write a role that's very simple for her so that she can just kind of do her basic thing. And I think that'd be fine. And the funny thing is that would get more attention because they'd be like, he's right. Because that's the thing about Weber, right? Every time Weber's right. I might be a little aggressive. I may be but it's usually dead on. I just say the things nobody else wants to say because they're afraid. They're afraid, oh, I'm not going to be liked. I'm not going to be fit in. I mean, go look at my boy for the 100th time. Way too much talk about strange loser harbors. But go read his tweets. He is never, and I mean ever, going to send a tweet that is going to be anything other than what you expect him to say, which means he's going to probably have a tweet, Weber's a jerk. What a loser, dude. I'm not worried. I'm on my stream ripping on you because it's fun for me for a moment. I'm not going to bother on Twitter. Here's what I'm going to tell you, is that is boring. You're a boring person. You're uninteresting. You're not edgy. And I'm not even trying to be edgy. I'm real. You're inauthentic. And if anyone met you, be like, you're a fake, phony, pretentious little bitch. No one would say that about me. They'd say you are certainly abrasive. You would say you are authentic. You are aggressive, but you're not fake. And you're not pretentious. I'm not pretentious. Not pretentious. No one's ever said that. Because pretentious is like reading like a Hodges. That kid, I actually think he's a smart kid. But when he writes, I forget his name, something Hodges. He's on Film Twitter. He writes for Film Twitter. That makes you pretentious. That makes you inaccessible. That makes you unrelatable. And nobody wants to hang out with somebody like that. And that's what Film Twitter is. They're all trying to impress themselves. I'm not trying to impress anybody except for the shirtless pictures. That's different. That's a whole different deal. Felicity, thank you for the super chat, by the way. Apple has a Sydney Sweeney film, Echo Valley, coming out in the fall. Julianne Moore plays her mom. Ooh, that sounds like an awards film. I must have missed that one when I put together awards days and I was looking at all the films coming up. I kind of skipped Apple because I forget. Sometimes you forget a studio. And Apple's one of those studios that's like, I haven't quite really grasped a hold of, even though they have a Best Picture and Netflix does not. I still forget Amazon and Apple exist, although they certainly exist much more in a theatrical sense than Netflix ever has. So they have that going for them. That sounds like an awards film, and of course it points to that date of the fall because you've got Julianne Moore. Anything she's in is going to be great. Gloria Bell, really love Gloria Bell. I know it's a remake, but I love Gloria Bell. When you look at that it's going to be an awards film, right? Because that's just the date. It's funny. I was watching Siskel and Ebert old episodes, and I never even knew they talked about this. Ebert was talking about these, award season starts in September and goes to the end of the year. Anything outside of that has no shot. I'm like, holy shit. I never even knew he talked about that. And it's funny to hear that. I'm like, I knew that. Obviously, a lot of you know that. But when he said it, I go, I say that all the time. I didn't know he said it. So that's always cool. You go, okay, Ebert was thinking. No, Weber's comparing himself to Ebert. I told you, I compare myself to Siskel, an aggressive, dogged Siskel. I love Gene Siskel. He's my favorite. Ask who's my favorite film critic of all time. You know damn well it is Gene Siskel. Okay, let's watch the Deadpool and Wolverine teaser right now, and then I'm going to play you a couple sound bites from some different things. Let's watch it. Here comes the new trailer. Comes out tomorrow. Let's hit that. Let's pop it up nice and big, and let's listen to the teaser here. Let me roll it back and.
Look, eventually, you're going to hang up the claws, and it's going to make a lot of people very sad. But one day, your old pal Wade's going to ask you to get back in the saddle again. And when he does, say yes.
Okay, I'm going to pause right there. I'm allowed to. Who's Film Junkie? I have no idea. But yeah, I know I play. It's so stupid because if I play you tonight, right, that little bit of the teaser for Deadpool Wolverine, the trailer comes out tomorrow, then YouTube could be like, but yet if I put it in a video, not live, then it's okay. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. So I just think here's the deal. The studio should be happy I'm talking about it. Okay, this channel reaches very far, as you guys know. I mean, this is one of the biggest film channels on YouTube. Will forever be the Riddler's YouTube channel. It's okay, though. I'm okay with that. Like, I think if I haven't told you guys this before, when I was a pro wrestling fan, I liked the wrestlers that were kind of like the undercard. I didn't like Hulk Hogan. I liked the missing link. I didn't like Tito Santana. I like Dick the Rebel Slater. I like the random guy who shows up once in a while on television. I am like the missing link of film critics. No one's ever said that, ever in the history of mankind, except for that moment, which happens very often on this channel. If there's a wrestling fan out there, you got it. I want to be that. I don't want to be Kerry Von Erich. I mean, I might look like Kerry Von Erich with my shirt off, but I want to be the missing link or Kamala, the Ugandan giant. I don't want to be Hulk Hogan. So I'm okay with what we have here. It's cool. It's all good. I got a great feeling about Deadpool and Wolverine being a great crowd pleaser. Listen, Satvik, it's bulletproof. This is a film that is 120 million%. That's a random number. It's absolutely bulletproof. There's nothing that this film, even if it's not great, it's still going to make $1 billion. Let's listen to Ryan Reynolds, who at one time followed me on Twitter. I don't know if he still does, but it's pretty exciting that he maybe has seen one of my tweets. He replied twice to my tweets, so he's definitely seen my tweets. Here we go.
I adore Hugh Jackman. I think nobody knows that more than you, and I would love to see a Deadpool Wolverine movie someday.
Before they obviously made
sort
the
of
movie.
Upset that he's hung up the claws for Wolverine. I want to, at some point, I feel like I missed my window to have Deadpool and Wolverine working together. Maybe one day there'll be a Deadpool 3. Maybe they'll call it Wolviepool if Hugh Jackman would ever get it together and decide to put the claws back.
This isn't copyright,
I'm
by the
trying
way.
to get him to
It's
play
random
Wolverine
clip.
again, and he just won't listen. The only bad habit he has is not playing Wolverine again.
Yeah, that. To be
I would
fair.
like him to do that.
Listen, can I just say, you guys can say whatever you want about Ryan Reynolds. He plays the same general guy in every movie. He's very quick. This man is one of the fastest guys. By the way, he does follow me. Do you guys see that in the corner? Let me zoom in. Can you guys see that? He does follow me. So there's the proof. It's as I look, it's like there he is. Should we direct message Ryan Reynolds right now? Oh my God, that would be hilarious. Direct message Ryan Reynolds right now in the middle of the show. Say, why don't you jump on? Now, even he knows that's a bad career move.
Nice to see him do that one more time.
I would love to do a Deadpool Wolverine mashup at some point, some kind of Logan thing. I can't seem to bring him back. I can't seem to bring him back to the violence and mayhem.
He's so fast. He's so quick. His mind worked very, very expeditiously.
I'm trying.
You just stand there, you ape. Give me a hand up.
This film is 100% bulletproof. He's perfect. He was born to play Deadpool. There's no question about it. I had a Wrexham kit, and I actually sold it. I didn't because it's weird. I like my football kits that are kind of random. Like tonight's Aston Villa. I love this one. It's one of my favorites. You guys have seen it on the channel many times. I don't like the obvious, although I do have a Man City, I have a Man United, I have a Liverpool or two, Chelsea. I got all the big teams. I like the random, just like I like my wrestlers like the Missing Link and Kamala, the Ugandan Giant. By the way, you guys are amazing. I got a comment. Missing Link was bigger in the territories than his WWE run. He was. Oh my God, this is great. So the Shockmaster was amazing. Let's watch that one more time. Can we just real quickly? I know, guys, this is what happened. I don't think this will be a copyright strike. So let me just show you real quickly. This is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Here it comes. You guys get ready. Let me set the stage for you. This is WCW, and this is back in, I want to say, like early 90s. And they were going to introduce a character called the Shockmaster. God, why'd I have to listen to Rob Gronkowski? And then so they were going to debut the character, and he came out with a silver coated stormtrooper mask. But watch what happens. Hold on. Let's go back. So here's Ric Flair. You guys know Ric Flair. So they're doing the heels versus the faces. They're going to introduce, here comes the terrifying Shockmaster wearing a silver-plated stormtrooper head.
Who their special tag team partner is, brother. You better cool down. You shut up.
Okay, so soon we're going to get the Shockmaster coming through the set. Just wait till you see. That's Sid Vicious. That dude was big. Like, he was tall and jacked. Biggest traps I've ever seen on a guy. Okay, here comes the Shockmaster. Get ready, everybody. They're like, cue the Shockmaster. Here comes. Took forever to get the Shockmaster. Just wait till he comes. That's Davey Boy Smith. Rest in peace. Sting and Harlem Heat. Here he comes.
He is none other than the Shockmaster.
Here he comes. Get ready. He fell on his ass. It's live, and he's supposed to come through the wall, and he fell down. His head came off.
Oh, God.
Listen to Ric Flair. He's like, oh, God. Listen. Oh, God. Did you hear him? I think Booker T was like, who is this mother... Hey, listen real quick. We'll go back to movies. Look, they can't even get the voice going because the voice is coming from somebody else, like with a mic.
I don't care who you are, boss. I don't give a damn who you are.
Where's the voice? Hold on. There it is.
World, they call me the Shockmaster.
It's so bad. It's so terrible, but so good. Johnny, thank you for giving. If I get a copyright strike, screw it. I don't even care anymore. I don't know about Euphoria. Super chat. Thank you, Steve. I think horror might have a shot at Best Picture nomination this year. Oh, no. Late Night with the Devil has no shot, Steve. I mean, first of all, I do appreciate it. I'm that's just typical me, right? I'm like, no chance. Late Night with the Devil could be, a Spirit Awards play, but no chance. I mean, listen, when you talk about a Best Picture, the closest you're going to get to horror, obviously we had that with Silence of the Lambs. Some would say Joker, it's a horror movie. There's been other examples. Those two obviously pop to mind. But you look at Late Night with the Devil, it's just no. And I don't even think it's even a good enough film. I like it, an 8 out of 10. I like a lot of what it does. I love the beginning of that film. I don't think it's scary. No, not an awards film. I mean, could we have it? In my world, yes, you could have a horror film be one of the best films of the year. I go back to 2019 and I talk about a Gretel and Hansel so often. When you look at the cinematography, the score, the production design of Gretel and Hansel, you are talking about an awards film in those 3 areas. So it doesn't matter if the film doesn't achieve that. In those areas, those were the best. Certainly cinematography, I think score as well, and production design. You could get that in there, at least in the mix. You could talk about it. Late Night with the Devil doesn't have anything except Dalmatian, Dash Mowley, and whatever it is. You could, Spirit Awards. But it's never going to happen for the Oscars because also it's IFC. IFC is just not going to be viewed like A24 or Neon. That's really as low as they go. IFC, except for something like, Boyhood, they've had a few films here and there, but not a lot of success. Yeah, woohoo! I was terrible. That was the worst Ric Flair ever. But it was amazing, that costume. I think, if I never bother with Halloween. If I ever do Halloween, I'm going to silver encrust a stormtrooper thing and wear that. It'll be the most obscure thing and one person will get it. Just like my love of random wrestlers and this channel, it's about being not kind of the obvious thing. I like being kind of the cult thing. And this is certainly a cult channel. I don't ever want it to become anything more than a cult channel. And if it ever does become slightly bigger cult channel, it'll never change. It'll be the same thing. So I don't care if they brought in, here's $1 million, you're going to do Midnight Movie Talk for Variety. That never happened, by the way, because of what I say about Hollywood. THR, Deadline. Too dangerous. But if they did say, we're going to pay you this to do this, I'd say, yeah, but the rules are I'm going to do the show the way I do it. And they'd be like, we can't do that. Well, then forget it. So that'll never change. I don't even care. As you guys know, this channel's not about subscribers, not about views, not clicks, however you want to look at it. It's about getting on the microphone and shooting and being real. And when the session's over here, as we get ready, we have 10 minutes till the hour, and I'll probably go a little after, not much. Tomorrow I've got Challengers. We'll do a live stream, short 10-minute reaction only to Challengers. Go see it tomorrow so we can talk about it. IMAX, Dolby, and Prime for AMC here in Burbank. I can't wait to see it. I've heard some up and down. I have a feeling this is not going to be a film that's loved by everybody, but that's okay. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But you look at what we do here, it's just going to always be that way. It's going to be a live wire, tightrope act for an hour, and then we get off. And it is what it is. It's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be perfect. Certainly not going to be, 500,000 views. But who cares? I really don't. I just don't, base anything on that. Listen to Samuel L. Jackson talk about working with Quentin Tarantino. I saw this and I thought it was pretty interesting because I think we all know, we talked about Tarantino when he said he's not going to make the movie critic the other night. We talked about how Tarantino is, I think, one of the best, if not greatest writer-directors ever, right? You talk about, remember, not everybody can write, not everybody can direct. Both skills great. Look at Sam Mendes, Empire of Light, did it again. He can't write, but he can direct. Sam Mendes. If someone else writes, Sam Mendes is untouchable. If he writes, we're going to probably have a problem. Here's Samuel L. Jackson talking about working with Quentin Tarantino.
Tarantino films are very different in that, yes, they're character driven. So when you read a Tarantino script, you all of a sudden find yourself knowing you're going to have a lot to say about who you are and how you feel about things. Rather than reading 5 pages of, okay, drive fast, look this way, die that way, the car's going over a curve. So there are a lot more things that you have to embody as a character and bring with you to do it. So the fact that I spent years and years and years in theater helped me a lot to embrace what Quentin does. And he appreciates it in another way because he knows that I'm used to giving speeches and I like it. Tarantino film.
So listen, obviously we know that Tarantino writes characters. He's a hell of a writer. And I think when we looked at the movie critic, we talked about it back on Thursday. He just didn't want to make that be his 10th film. He's stuck on this 10. And when you put yourself into that cage of only making 10 films, he now has limited himself and he really wants to make sure whatever he gets made for that 10th film is great and not slight, not a movie about a porno movie critic, which is what this was, right? Brad Pitt's going to play, I believe, not a version of the exact character from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, then he would have that. So I think that no surprise, anything what Samuel L. Jackson says. Let's listen to, before we get out of here, I have one more I wanted to talk about. Where was it? If you missed the box office show, we have it in the morning. We talked about Abigail, we talked about Civil War, and there's some other things in there, but nothing too major here this weekend. James Gray here he goes. James Gray talking about theatrical. This is from a few weeks ago. You might have even seen it, but let's just talk about it because I think he's right. James Gray's smart. As you guys know, I love Ad Astra. Love. Okay. I have a crush on that film. I love its meditative nature, the score, just the way it breathes. It's just so chill. And there's something I love about a film that's like that. Heady, contemplative. All of those things we don't get often, and Ad Astra has that. But listen to James Gray talk about theatrical and the importance of having a little bit of everything, not just a bunch of horror films.
And you can tell me if you think I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. When you make movies that only make a ton of money and they're only one kind of movie, you begin to get a large segment of the population out of the habit of going to the movies. And then you begin to eliminate the importance of movies culturally. Yes. You lose, when you are so quarterly earnings, bottom line minded, you lose I think, the big brain vision to say, look, I have no problem with a comic book movie. I have seen excellent ones made. I think Tim Burton's second Batman is a beautiful movie, and Michelle Pfeiffer's brilliant in it. I think what Chris Nolan does, my friend Matt Reeves certainly did the deep dive with his Batman film.
Let me pause right there because it's interesting, because I told you guys, where did I see Matt Reeves? Where did Matt Reeves say, you're Eric Weber? It was at a screening of Armageddon Time, which of course is James Gray's movies. And he just said, Matt Reeves is a good friend. Reeves was in the back row with me watching Armageddon Time. And I'm sure Reeves was like, this isn't that great, James, because it really wasn't.
So I know that there are things that can be done in the genre. That's not an argument saying all comic book movies are terrible and they shouldn't be made. No, of course they should be made. The slate, though, the fact that it is no longer broad-based for theatrical by the studios means that they have forced a smaller and smaller and smaller segment of the population to like it. I'm going to make them an offer they can't refuse. And you know instantly what movie that is.
Right.
You cannot quote me a single line from Aquaman. You can't.
Aquaman, I like that.
So what does that mean? It means the cultural and Academy Awards, they know it. Yeah. They sit around and they say, why is the viewership? Why is it going down? Yeah. It's going down because we did not make the investment in the broad-based engagement with the product. I know maybe a movie that was made, Ang Lee movie Ice Storm, maybe that didn't make $1 billion, but you know what? It maintained broad-based interest. Exactly. So we've got to force it back. And you know what? The studios should be willing to lose money for a couple of years on art film divisions.
But they're not going to do it because these studios are run by people that don't even necessarily love films. I'm telling you, do you think that Zaslav loves cinema? Not that I can tell. Right? He's just a money guy. I can't imagine. Can you imagine like only living a life where you cared about how many billions you had in the bank or millions? I'm here to tell you guys, having lived many different lives, that life's not about how much money you have. It's about the experiences. How many things have you done? At the end of the day, whenever we call it a day, you're going to say to yourself, what was I able to do? Did I at least try? Even if you didn't have success. The fact that I started a channel and tried to do something that's it. Like today, it's funny. I was sitting here. I came back. I played volleyball all day down in Huntington Beach. I know. You're in Huntington Beach. You're a racist. Of course, there's that crowd. Nicest group of dudes ever down there. And when I came back up, I was walking in and I looked at the area where I am right now. And I just said to myself, nice job. Way to envision something and just go through with it. Make it happen. Even don't let success define you. Let you doing something that you feel is worthy define you, not other people controlling that, you controlling that. And I think if you allow other people to give you your sense of value, you're going to be very empty in this world. And I wish we had more studio heads and people in creative positions in this town that loved cinema, that loves going to the movies, that on a Friday would actually go to AMC Burbank and watch a film. You know, you just know they don't. You know, they're sitting in their office, they're making their millions, and they don't even necessarily love this. If I ever was in that position, no matter how much you paid me, I would still want to go on Thursday night to go see the new movie. I'd be like, guys, I'm leaving. The movie starts at 5. I'm leaving the office to go watch a movie. That would never change. And I think that's the problem, is that we have so many people in this town that don't have that in their soul, in their heart. They don't possess it. And if you don't have that, then you're going to see that in the product that is offered to the public with your films. And that's what James Gray sounds like, a very smart, contemplative, and big cinema fan. And obviously, we just don't have a lot of that in this town. And I wish we did. And Matt Reeves is clearly that guy. You know, you go back and you look at his work. I remember watching his remake of Let Me In. I love that film, man. That blew me away. I like it more than the original. And that's when he was working with Greg, right? That's when he started working with him. And you can see it, that film that is unbelievable. Before I get out of here tonight, I want to talk about an MMT Must See, and this is a new one. This is something we talked about before, and here's why it's a must-see, and you need to do it now at theaters. James Gray just talked about the importance of having these smaller films in the marketplace and letting these studios know that there is an audience for these things. And while SasquatchSunset might be a little weird, a little inaccessible for some people, it is not doing well at the box office, which is not a surprise. $800 per screen is expanded to like 800 screens. Terrible number. We need to support these films, even if you have an AMC A-list and you don't go tomorrow. Buy a ticket for SasquatchSunset. Let the studios know that we want these films and we want to see them in theaters. Look at Sean Baker. He tweeted about that. I just saw SasquatchSunset. We don't get these things very often. We don't. That's what I love. I love rolling into the AMC 8 into a 50-seat screening room and sitting down and watching something like Asphalt City or SasquatchSunset or Femme. These are 3 of my favorite movies this year, and they're all tiny, and they're all the kind of film that soon we're not going to get in movie theaters. We're only going to get these tentpoles. We're only going to get another horror retread, another god-awful Blumhouse creation. You know, we just need to make sure that these small films exist, and I wish more people put their money where their mouth is and went and supported these small films so that we get more of them, because they're gonna die off and we're gonna be left with these things that are maybe, if we're lucky, on Netflix, maybe on Amazon, maybe on Apple, but you're not gonna get to see them in a movie theater anymore because they're doing $800 per screen for the weekend, which is terrible. So go support this film this week. That is my urgent message to you, and let's keep this cinema thing going. Couple comments and then we are out of here. Skinamarink. Hey, listen, I didn't hate Skinamarink. And that's a tiny film. Actually made, I believe, IFC some money. That film was like nothing, right? That film, good question. Asphalt Sunset. Did I say? Listen, both titles are weird. That I did say that. I think I called it Sasquatch City. That might have done better at the box office. Listen, they're both cool films. I told you I watched Asphalt City twice now. And the fact that I've watched it twice tells you I love that filmmaking. I love his direction. And I am so enamored with the feel and look of Asphalt City that I almost want to make a movie. Like, if I had the money, I'd start making some kind of weird-ass, grounded, gritty-ass street drama shit, because that's what I want to see, and we don't see it often. And Asphalt City bombed, so we're not going to see it. You know, these movies just aren't doing it, and it's sad. I hope it doesn't come to the point we don't get them anymore, but I feel like we're getting closer and closer by the day, because nobody else. Yeah, I don't think it's in Australia. It's Bleecker Street. It's hard. I understand these films are not easy to find, but if you can find these films at your local AMC or Regal, support them. Buy a ticket. Don't even go. Like, I mean, seriously, if you don't want to see it, that's your thing. But we need to, like, at least prop these films up. So that means use one of your AMC A-lists on these things so that the numbers go up. I believe they tally that because they take it off your AMC. If you don't show up, they started doing that. So I think that counts as a sale. So I don't care what it is because we need to support this. It's kind of like you guys give me a super chat. I appreciate that. And that's what we're doing here. We're super chatting these movies because we want to see more of them. It's that simple. That's why this channel was created. That's what will continue. I appreciate everyone being here on the Sunday night. We're back tomorrow. Challengers, tight 10-minute, max 15 tomorrow. Only on Challengers. We're not even going to talk about Deadpool Wolverine because if I show the trailer, I'll get another copyright strike. It's not worth it. So yes, only Challengers tomorrow night. Discussion, evaluation, all of that tomorrow. Tight 10-minute, probably about 9:30. Get your alerts. I don't even know when I'm going to go live here. Sunday night could be 8, could be 8:30, 8:15. Get the alert. You'll know when I'm on. And we'll keep the show forever niche no matter what happens. As always, thanks for being here, guys. Peace out. Live from LA. I'll see you tomorrow night. Challengers, MMT evaluation.